Hello SAP developers, welcome back to another episode of ABAB CDS TechBytes. Troubleshooting and debugging is an integral part of any developer. For ABAB CDS, a set of troubleshooting tools are available, and that is the topic for today's episode. ABAB Development Tool for Eclipse offers various tools in the form of Eclipse views to analyze the data model and the query defined in the ABAB Core Data Services. So now this picture gives a comprehensive look of all the available tools, and we will check one by one. So let's start with the CDS tools to analyze the data. So for today's demo, I'll be using the CDS views that has been used in the previous TechBytes. So this is the travel demo. You can always Control M to toggle the full screen. So right click on it and then open with data preview. So this gives you the data of the particular CDS view entity. So let's see, once you have the data preview, what all options are available. So you can right click, again select a field and then right click. Then you have an option where you can quick filter on that particular value. So I've selected the currency code here on the USD. So let's quick filter on the currency code USD. And the data changes accordingly. The filter has been applied. Or else you can also go to this add filter and then apply the filter. And after that, let's see what else is available. You have something like status, which has some values. If you want to know what are all the distinct values, you can again select the cell and then click on distinct values. So this will give you the list of all the values available for that particular field, as well as the distribution in the data. So then we have something called as follow association. So in the CDS view entity, there could be the CDS views which we would have done the association and would have made as public. So in that case, you get this option called as follow association. Let's click on it. And then this gives you the list of all the associations that is used in this particular CDS view entity. So this means you can check the data source from where the associated value is merged from. So let's click on this, and this will take you to the target, which is the associated CDS view entity. And you can see here for that particular the agency ID, these are the other fields which is available in the associated view entity, and you get to see those details. So you have these breadcrumbs where you can navigate back to our the data source. So again, I come back to this Z travel demo, and after that you have an option where you can copy the cell, row, or you can copy the column. You have an option where you can copy all the rows and you can export as a ABAP value statement, or you can also get the CSV. So with this, let's again see what are the other tools available. Again, you click on select the view entity, right click, and then you have this option open with. There is another second option, which is the data preview. So let's see what is the difference here. And this gives you the columns that you want to be visible when you are doing the data preview. So if you want to have some columns which you do not want, you can deselect it. So let me deselect some of the columns, and then again you have an option where you can also add the filter, then open data preview. So now you can see that the columns whatever we had selected, only those columns appear over here. You can also check the SQL console from here, which will give you the detail of the SQL statement and the time it took to execute the query. Then let us also again see something called as active annotations. So by now you know that the annotations, actually the CDS view entity can be enriched using annotations. So annotations defines what can be the property for a CDS view entity as well as for a particular exposed field. So to get an idea of what are the annotations that is active, or rather what is applicable for the CDS view entity, this gives a complete comprehensive overview. For this particular CDS view, these are the annotations that is defined at the CDS entity level. And since this has a metadata extension object, let us go to the metadata extension and then see how the annotations are defined. Right. So these are the field level annotations that has been defined. And just have a look at this description. I have mentioned end user text label as the annotation for the description field, and the value I have given as description from metadata. And in the CDS view level as well, I have given the same annotation, end user text label, but I have given the value as description from CDS. The thing what you have to know is how the annotations gets a preference and how it becomes active. So the first preference is given to the annotations that is defined at the metadata extension object. And the second option is, preference is the direct annotations that is defined in the CDS view entity. And the third will be the annotations will be picked up from that is the indirect annotations, which will be picked up from the associated CDS views or the underlying CDS views. So this is how the preference goes, and the annotations will either be active or it will be ignored. So now let us see what is the annotation that has been picked up for this particular field description. So I will go back to active annotations. If you see here, there are these 3 dots which will actually give you 2 options, either the structured representation or a flat representation. I will select flat representation, and you can see these are all the CDS level annotations that I just showed now. It is marked for extensibility and those things comes up. So it gives you an overview of the property of that particular CDS view, what are the annotations are defined. Now let's go to the description, where I had defined the same end user text label description at both the places. But if you see here, the annotation value that is picked up is actually from the metadata extension. So it will show you the origin data source. It will tell you from which object the annotation is active. And for some, you can also see for the currency code, it says like the data source is picking up from the database table, and the value is coming up from this particular data element. So maybe let us see. You can double click on it and then you will navigate to that particular object. So here, just navigated to this data element, and then these are the labels that is specified here, and this will be picked up. So that's how you can actually see the summary of the annotations. So in particular, if you want to analyze the details of what the annotations are active and inactive, you have an option where you can do it at the entity level as well as at the field level. Just select any of the field, and you can right click. You have this option called as open with annotation propagation. So let's open the annotation propagation, and here it says like it gives you the overview of which are the active annotations and from where it has been picked up, as well as the value and as well as the inactive annotation. So this one which has been grayed out is this annotation, although it has been defined, but it will not be considered because the other annotation has been given the preference. So for a particular field, if you want to understand why an annotation has not been reflected in the CDS view entity, this is a much deeper way to analyze the annotations. Okay, now let's go back to our travel demo. So you open with the dictionary log. So dictionary log gives you the more technical information. Then you also have an option where you can do open with dependency analyzer. So always a CDS data model will have many associations. It will also have underneath the table, it will consume the data from the other CDS views. So if you want to see the complete in a graphical way on the structure of a CDS view, then this is what dependency analyzer will be quite helpful. So for this, I will not use the CDS view, but I will use the CDS view, which is C_overdue view, which is a SAP delivered CDS view. and let us see the dependency analyzer. So the dependency tree, it gives you in a hierarchical way of the particular CDS view and all the other various CDS view from where it is defined. So the conditions of the association, it also gives you the details of the other CDS view, the tables, and in a hierarchical way. So you can also check this dependency graph, which will give you in a graphical way, which is quite helpful to analyze how complex the CDS view is. If you see here, this is, you can see there are two different icons. So this is the icon for the table, and this is the icon for the CDS view. So it will tell you what are the entity name and the object type and how it has been consumed. Then you have a complexity matrix, which will tell you how many tables or the database views has been the CDS view is built upon. If you want to analyze the CDS entity, you can always press F2 and you will get the element information. So this pop-up opens, which will tell you what are all the properties of this particular CDS view. It says how many columns are there, and it has been extended with these two CDS views, and then there is metadata extensions as well. So this also you can check what are the associations. So this is also it will help you in analyzing the CDS view, as well as you can navigate to these target entities. So these are the basic CDS tools where how you can analyze the data. Since we are talking about the data analysis, in my last TechByte, I had touched upon the access control, how you provide authorization for a particular field to your user. So for that, I will use the same data source which was used earlier, and let's first do the data preview. And you get the data, there's only one record for this carrier ID AA. Since I'm using SAP BTP ABAP environment, I've created the authorization object, assigned the authorization field to the object, as well as maintained the authorization values in this in ADT itself. If you are using SAP system, you will be doing it in the corresponding in the SAP system. So let us see this authorization object, and this authorization object has this field. I've added this authorization field, and in the authorization, this is the authorization field which has the data element. Now, this is the OData service that has been created, and if you click on this default authorization values, and this is where for this particular authorization field, that is the carrier field, I have given maintained the value as AA. That means my user has access to only AA. So now let us try to change this, and then maybe we'll enter a new value, maybe UA. Then save it. So now we have changed the authorization value to another value, but that is not sufficient. You need to synchronize the role. So basically, the authorization picks up from the business role that is assigned to your user. So this is the IAM app, and if you go to the services, the service is added. The ZUI flight is the service that has been added, and in this authorization tab, you can see here the value is still the old value that was AA. And to get the new value that we have added, we need to synchronize it. So once you do synchronize, you will get the value that we have changed. Save it. After that, publish it. So you will, the concept is the same. If you are using in the SAP system, then you will be using it in the similar way that I have done it. You will have to do it in the PFCG role. So once this I have created this IAM role, and for my user, I have also created a business catalog, and the business catalog is assigned to the business role. So maybe I can, while this is publishing, I can also show you. This is the business role I've added, and I've added this business catalog, and I've assigned it to my user. So how did I get this business catalog? I have created the business catalog over here. So it is the same business catalog ZBC_flight, which I've added to this business role, and my user is assigned to it. So that's how That's how the authorization works. Let us refresh. So if you refresh the data preview, you get 2 records for the values UA. So this is where the authorization, the values that the default authorization value that you maintain for the authorization field will be picked up. So now I'll close all. So this is a simple way how you can analyze the data that is coming up in the CDS view. But what if you have, what if you run into the runtime error, or what if you have the OData service where you have some gateway error? So for that, there are other tools which we will be checking now. Let me open this app. So I'll be using again the travel demo, and first let me launch the Fiori app, the travel data, and you have the information of the travel as well as the booking. You can see over here there is remaining days to flight, and this is the calculated field which is using virtual elements. So now let us try to put a debugger before this calculation happens. Okay. So for that, I know that this is the booking view which has this element that is defined, remaining days to flight. And it says like there's a virtual element, and the logic for this particular virtual element is written in this ABAP class. So now let's first go to this ABAP class. So you can see over here, this is where the logic starts. Maybe let me put a breakpoint. So here I have put a breakpoint, and now let us again try to run the application. So, and if you see, since we have put the breakpoint, you get, it stops there, and then it says like, okay, do you want to change the perspective? So we were working in the ABAP perspective. And then for debugging, there's another perspective which is called as debug perspective, and that is where the call goes to the ADT, where it says like, okay, there is a breakpoint, and then it's asking us, okay, do I want to switch it to this debug perspective? So now let us switch to this, and then we'll see how we can do the debugging. And then this is where the breakpoint is there, and there it has stopped. So now let us try to see what is there in this method. Let us do a step over. So then it comes here today. If you click on it, then today is calculated. Then it comes to the next thing. It tries to check what is the remaining days. So now let us see. Yeah, the remaining days is calculated, 202. So if you see here, the remaining days to flight also gets the value. So we'll execute this. And then you can go back to our application. You can see the value comes up for the remaining days to flight. So this is a very simple example on if you have any calculations in the ABAP class, then you can put a breakpoint, and then the debugger mode opens up. So now that we have seen how a debugging works, and what if you get into any runtime error, or if you are using a OData service, there could be a gateway error. So to analyze runtime error and gateway error, the feed reader will be quite helpful. Let me take another example of the same travel data, and you get the data with various status. And there is an action called as deduct discount. So purposely to get a runtime error, I have given a wrong calculation, which will result in a runtime error. So now let us see that. When you click on deduct discount, and then you can let us see what comes up in the feed reader. To open the feed reader, you can always press Ctrl+3 to open any of the previously opened views. So otherwise, you will have to go to the window and then show view, and then click on feed reader. So now let's see what is there in this feed reader. It says like there is one runtime error which has been caused, and that is by division by 0. So you can go to the source code extract, and then it gives you information where exactly the error has happened. Just click on this, and then let's go to that particular the object where the error has been detected. So here, because I wanted to get to this runtime error, I had given as division by 0, which will obviously return an error, and that is where the feed reader has captured the runtime error. Apart from the tools that is offered by ADT, There are also some of the browser tools, like you can open the console, which I do it with F12. So let's do a deduct discount again. And then you can see here the batch call has been failed. So you get the response as well over here, and then it says like again you can use the ADT feed reader to check the runtime error. Just refreshing again, and you can see here the various calls has been made. Again, I will just filter on the batch call, which has actually given me the data of this travel entries. There's a parameter SAP statistics, and this will actually give you the information of the performance of your application. So I have already enabled. In case you want to enable, this is how you can do it. So you can see here it takes like, this is the gateway total, means the time of the OData service, the time taken. And what's important is to always check this application. So that is where you will be responsible. To develop a OData service or other ABAP functionality related to ABAP RESTful application programming, or this ABAP cross-trace gives you the insights into ABAP RESTful application programming model runtime framework. Since I am using this OData service, and maybe let us create a situation where the instance will not be found. Go back to the CDS view, and we can restrict to a particular status. Overall status is equal to open. So that means I will only get, I should only be seeing the status which is of open. And so this is saved and activated. And we need to create the ABAP cross trace, and let's create a configuration. So this says like it's activate trace, and after, we'll say like after 20 traces, then just reactivate. You can also say when this the configuration has to be deleted. You can give the, and this is the requesting, the filter for the particular user, and this is my user. Click OK. The trace has been created. So now if I do accept travel, that means the status will become to accepted, which the code for that is A. And in our the main entity, we should not be able to see this record, because we have given the condition where the CDS view should only, the application should only list the entries with the overall status open. So here you find that resource not found. That is because this particular entry, we have accepted it, which means the status is A or accepted, and it will not appear in the main page. So now let us see, these are all the various traces that has been captured. There's a get call with a post call. Now let us check this post call, the last one which actually triggered an error. And here in the traces, this will give you the information of how the application has initialized. It does check for the global authorization, and it will also give you the information of what is checked before saving. And then this is the SQL select. So here you can see something called as invalid instance, and that is where why it is invalid is instance could not be read after successful modification. And that is what the trace gives you the information of all the calls, and then how each call has been performed. So these are some of the tools which will help you in analyzing the CDS data model. We analyzed the data using CDS tools, and we also checked upon how the authorization is fetched. Then we checked on the debugging, how you can add a breakpoint, and then you can do the debugging, ABAP debugging. And you can also say the feed reader, which will actually give you the gateway error and the runtime error. And you can also enable trace to understand the call of the OData services. So how the various calls that happens in the OData service. So with this, I conclude today's demo, and I hope you have learned a little bit of the troubleshooting and how you can troubleshoot the ABAP CDS view. I will see you in another episode, and until then, keep learning.